I see your freshman year, I've talked to guys that completely missed the state meet as freshmen. I've talked to guys that didn't score but got to go or whatever. So, and there's guys that win state championships as freshmen. But I've talked to guys that have been all over that road. And while you paint a little bit of a humble picture that you were kind of chasing some of your, teammates and whatnot, you come out and go 155 as a freshman and kind of establish yourself. I think you were 5th at the state meet your freshman year.
Yeah.
I know it's tough after a college career and you're trying to remember back to specific years, but do you remember, what can you tell me about that first year, kind of joining Todd's program and kind of just getting established in that high school scene?
Yeah, that was one of the most fun teams I've been a part of. The senior class there was awesome. And I just remember having a lot of fun. I mean, we swam pretty fast, but I just remember being pretty disappointed after the state meet. I didn't, fifth isn't what I wanted to get. I think David won that event, didn't he? Our freshman year. And I was not happy with how I swam. I think I swam the 100 back as well, which is a little bit interesting. I guess I wasn't really a breaststroker yet. I was kind of a breaststroker, but and I don't think I was on any relays. We won the meet, which was great, but I just remember being slightly disappointed in how I swam, which I think I still dropped a lot of time. I don't know what my time was before the state meet. I think it was maybe 158 or something like that, but
Yeah, I mean, probably can't make, unintended, you were making a case for it, but that tells any reader or listener of this a lot about the scene, that you could have a 155 IMer that was on no relays. That's, I think in a lot of high schools, that's your anchor, your relay, that's, he's picking his spot on the medley, whatever, that's that paints a pretty good picture of the competition within your team. So let me ask you, how does that disappointment that you just referred to, how does that shape the next year? Is that a fuel for you? What kind of happens for you? Because I think you go 152 the next year. I think you got 5th again in the race, but went 3 seconds faster. Obviously tells you some about the level of competition, but you had a nice year, another nice drop. How did that disappointment as a freshman fuel you?
Yeah, I was definitely hungry, I think David and I have always been super competitive. David was one of my best friends ever. But I think he would say the same thing about me, like when we're racing against each other or even in practice. I mean, it was a battle every time. And watching him win his freshman year and then he won it again his sophomore year. I think I was, I definitely trained super hard that summer. I mean, we trained crazy hard that next season. But again, getting 5th, again, it's like, okay, I guess I got to go faster, right? 3-second drop and you get the same, not same result, but you get the same place in the state. And I think David won it again. And I think that same feeling of, all right, it was just, you have to put in the work, right? Like, that's just really where my mindset was. So.
I just popped into the state meet results there as you were talking, just to confirm. So you're 15th in the backstroke as a freshman. So the sophomore year that we're talking about, this is the move to the breaststroke. You take 5th place in that race. I don't know what it is about 5th place here, but you're collecting all the fifth place medals here. But one thing that's notable, and I wanted to touch on it, is your teammate, Mike Fisher, breaks the Division I record that year. So that's also a little bit of insight into who you're training with as you're transitioning into the breaststroke. You're with the state champion there. So I'm sure that helped in all aspects.
Sure. Yeah. Mike is another great dude and someone who was great to train with. I wouldn't have I I swam with Mikey since, you know, I was little too, because they were Ipsy Otters, Ann Arbor Swim Club, Wolverine as well. Yeah, Mikey was definitely a big reason I switched to breaststroke, just training with him. I think what really happened was I was training some with him for like IM sets. And I think we kind of realized, okay, I could be, you know, pretty good at breaststroke. And then started training with him, and that's really what kind of propelled me to start swimming.
So the name Dave Chernek is a legendary one in the state of Michigan. The longest running state record in the history of Michigan swimming is Dave Chernek's 100 breaststroke record. He set that record in 1980 as a junior. He lowered it in 1981. Was the first guy ever to break 58, 57, and 56 in the state of Michigan. And that state record stood, it was his record for 33 years. So the name of the person that takes that record down is going to be significant in history when that record stands for that long. I don't expect you to be a history major and have known everything about Dave Chernek, but I'm curious, as you had your eyes on that record, was anybody kind of telling you about the significance of the swimmer that's held it? You had to be somewhat aware that the record was from 1981. I'm just curious, the Chernek part of that story, before we get into the race and breaking the record, how much awareness did you have of the legend?
Not too much, honestly. I think I have more appreciation for it back on it now. I definitely knew that the record was 33 years old. Todd had told me a little bit about him, and I think that was kind of Todd's era, a little bit after or a little bit before, but you know, he was more towards that time. And but so honestly, as a high school junior, I didn't have too much appreciation for Dave, but looking back on it, it's definitely, yeah, you know, a cool part of swimming history to be a part of.
So this is obviously a huge meet for you. You win your first individual state championship. You break a state all-class record. I want to say that you went 148-ish, 149 in the IM.
Yeah, I think it was like 149.3 or something like that, something similar.
Right, and I think Nick breaks the state record in that race. Is that right, or is that the year before?
I think he did.
The bigger picture here, you, again, for the second straight year, have another like 3-second drop in the IM, nice drop in the breaststroke. I mean, you're really ascending as a swimming star, and this is a really big meet for you in terms of you kind of etching your place. What do you remember about that junior year state meet?
I finally got a win, so that was, you know, that was, I think, mentally really big for me. And then, like you said, you know, the IM and breaststroke got significantly faster from the year before. Broke two state records. You know, the one was something Todd and I had talked about all year, and obviously a really, really big record to break. But and then I also won Swimmer of the Year that year, which was really big for me. And I think that's, you know, I know we're talking about high school swimming, but that's really the meet where I, you know, started to get on the radar of college coaches and whatnot. So probably one of the biggest meets I ever swam. So
yeah. How did recruiting change for you after that? You know, you kind of talk about the national perspective. How did your life change away from the pool in terms of phone calls, letters, all that?
Yeah. So I don't think I was probably on too many radars before that, but after that meet, and then I also had a big juniors that summer, and I pretty much talked to whoever there's a few exceptions, but I pretty much talked to whatever college coaches I wanted at that point. which was awesome. I mean, it was again, something I didn't really appreciate in the time. But, you know, looking back on it, it's, I mean, crazy to think about. You know, super blessed to be able to, you know, kind of.
I think part of the juniors that you were just referencing, I got you at 220.9 to break a 200-meter breaststroke record in the 15-16 age group that still stands today.
Yeah, I think I dropped almost 6 seconds in that race. It might have been 4, but it was, you know, something ridiculous. Yeah, that was a huge swim as well. And a really, really good juniors. That was definitely my best swim there, but I had some other solid swims, and that's where I first was able to talk to some college coaches in person. So
that's awesome. How would you kind of characterize how you're dealing with your success at this point in your career? You know, like, that's a cool thing to break a state record, you know, that's a cool thing to win a state championship. And, you know, I'm always having a sense here as I'm looking, you know, I saw David won the IM your junior year, you know, so again, you're still chasing teammates. I imagine your head isn't exploding because of that.
No.
But how are you dealing with your success through your career?
Yeah, I think swimming with the guys I swam with just kept everyone humble, right? Like, the IM was better, but still lost to David. The breaststroke was good, but still wanted more. And I mean, Club Wolverine was also great during this time, because I mean, the group I swam with there, I mean, there was just so much talent, you know, and great coaching. And so I don't think I got a big head after that. I think it was just kind of back to business.